Chris Paul posted a screenshot on Instagram today of a video call with DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin. As the architect of Lob City, getting tossed out by the same team at the end of his career feels about as ironic and cruel as it gets. And now the reason behind Paul being pushed out by the Clippers has been exposed. According to a report from Sam Serrania, Paul was unhappy with the team's current state and openly criticized both the roster and the coaching staff. That rubbed GM Frank the wrong way, especially since Frank felt Paul had crossed a line. Ty Lue himself reportedly went weeks without speaking to Paul, and benched him with 5 straight DNPs. Simply put, Paul and Ty Lue had a falling out, and Frank chose to side with Lue, not with Chris Paul, one of the franchise's all-time greats. When Harden spoke about Chris Paul's departure after the game against the Hawks, he looked stunned and said, "Me too. Woke up and saw it on social media. I'm just as confused and shocked as you guys, the world. Definitely surprised me, but not just Chris. It's a lot we were dealing with, but that's out of my hands." In the Clippers' original plan, signing CP3 was supposed to be a feel-good story, bringing back a franchise legend, letting him serve as a locker room leader, using his presence and experience to steady the team. It was basically like bringing back a retired executive as an honorary advisor, symbolic value over actual operational demands. But Paul still saw himself as the core executive from the Lob City era. He couldn't tolerate the losses piling up, so he reverted to his Primera playbook, holding everyone accountable. Imagine hiring a retired consultant, who starts barking orders at every department and openly challenging your leadership team. Reports say Ty Lue genuinely refused to say a single word to Paul for weeks. And once you can't back your words up with on-court production, your voice disappears instantly. Paul is averaging 2.9 points, 1.8 rebounds, and 3.3 assists this season, numbers that are clearly below the standard, yet in team film sessions, he was aggressively calling out teammates and tearing apart the coaching staff's game plans. The team even gave him a sarcastic label, the locker room lawyering. That nickname paints the picture perfectly: someone obsessed with rules, accountability, and procedure, basically holding court in the locker room and cross-examining teammates and coaches one by one. Even though Paul would apologize afterward, it was still a failed case study in workplace communication. The intentions were good, but the delivery was blunt and condescending, and instead of solving problems, it fractured relationships. When we talk about obsessive competitiveness and demanding standards, of course Kobe Bryant comes to mind. But Kobe's standards were backed by 5 championship banners and an unquestioned legacy. His intensity was validated by winning, and became mythologized as the Mamba mentality. Paul's career, meanwhile, has been defined by heartbreaking near misses. He's just as demanding, just as perfectionist, but fate never rewarded him with a ring. So when a veteran on a minimum deal uses the same tone Kobe used, teammates silently think, "You never won anything, why are you lecturing us?" Kobe's harshness became a legendary mindset. Chris Paul's gets dismissed as being difficult and disruptive. And by firing someone who simply wants to win, the Clippers send a chilling message: staying quiet is safer than trying to be great. Paul's career may end in a painfully ironic way. A man who spent his entire life chasing a championship might see his story conclude not because he stopped caring, but because he cared too much while his body could no longer cash the checks his heart was writing. There's always a battle between truth and irritation, idealism and reality. Griffin wanted to retire here, and was shipped out coldly. Now, 40-year-old Chris Paul, after announcing this would be his final season, gets sent home at 3 a.m., stripped even of dignity. Look across the league. Portland gave Lillard a 3-year, $41 million deal after he tore his Achilles, just to let him heal with peace of mind. The Clippers' move feels brutal in comparison. At the start of the season, the Mavericks and Suns both courted Paul, and the Bucks even promised him a starting role. But Paul didn't even hesitate. he signed a minimum contract with the Clippers, choosing to return to the team where he spent 6 prime years. At the opening press conference, Paul said, "The Clippers will always be special. Coming home was an easy choice." All Paul wanted was simple: maybe one more season in LA. Maybe someday seeing his jersey hanging in the rafters. That was enough for him. The Clippers even held a warm, emotional welcome ceremony. Fans in number 3 jerseys chanted CP3 in unison, and Paul was choking up over and over. Even the media called it the most heartfelt signing of the offseason. And yet, weeks later, the Clippers quietly sent him home near 3 a.m. and released a statement: "We have parted ways with Chris Paul." All dignity deleted overnight. And the reason, ultimately, was that Paul wanted the team to be better. At the end of the day, the NBA is a business. When you're great, everyone is behind you. When you're old, they throw you aside without blinking.
If you ain't trying to contend with the Warriors, then what are we doing? Like, you know what I mean? The Warriors haven't lost in the playoffs. Like, if you're not trying to contend with them, then what are you doing?